Everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is part 2 of our Angular course where we are deep diving into the new feature got added from Angular version 16 to Angular version 19. And today let's talk about an exciting new addition to Angular, the control flow syntax, which is @if, @for, and @switch. So this feature got released in Angular version 17 as dev preview, and this got stabled from Angular version 18. So now you might have a question like, why do they even exist? So this new control flow statement basically simplify conditional rendering and iteration directly in your template. Unlike the traditional ngIf and ngFor directives, the @if and for syntax bring a cleaner and more declarative approach which aligns with Angular and gives you the native JavaScript control flow. And if you ask me about why they are better, then I have two good reasons. That first thing, they actually improve your readability, and the second thing, it actually improves the performance as well because it is well optimized to reduce the unnecessary DOM manipulation, which ensures the better runtime efficiency. And also, to use them right, you don't have to do any imports in your standalone component, right? For example, if you're using standalone component to use the directives if, for, and switch, you have to import them in the imports array. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. So if you go here, right? So for example, if you want to use ngIf, ngFor, let me take an example of the product. So here on the top right, I'm importing the common module so that I can use ngIf and ngFor. Okay. There is also example in the to-do signal where I was using ngIf and ngFor. So over here, right, I'm using this directive. So to use the directive, you have to do the imports. But with this new control flow syntax, you don't have to do all of those and you can save some chunks there. Okay, so now let's take a quick example what I have here for you. So for example, here we have this if example, like whenever I click on this login, so this button should go and change to red, and here you should have a message that welcome, you are logged in. And for this for example, what I'll do, whenever you click on add user, so it will just go ahead and add a user in the list, and that list you can render by using this @for. Okay. And for the third example, I have this switch case example, which is basically where you can select a theme. So based on the selected theme, it will give us some description that which theme is activated. For example, if I change to dark, I can see dark theme activated. If I change to system, so it will give you that using system preferences and all of that, right? Now, let's take a look at the code what we have for this. So this is how the code looks like for this control flow. So here, if you take a look, we have this if example, and here we have a button. Okay. And whenever we click on this button, we are doing the toggle login. And inside that, if you see now here, we have our @if, where we have a condition is logged in. And this is nothing but our signal. Again, if you don't know what is signal, then I have already taken a video about it. So you can go ahead and watch that video first, and then maybe you can continue this video. So this is nothing but my is logged in signal, which is declared over here as a property. And we are calling this toggle login, correct? So that's what gets toggled when we click the button. Now, if I go back to this @if, so whenever if it is true, then please show logout, or else please show login, right? Now imagine if I have to do the same using the structural directive. So I will need to have a code something like this. And can you see now this is complaining me to import it in the imports array, and I'll go here and import ngIf, something like that, right? So let me import the ngIf, and that's what I have to do over here just to make it work. But now with this new control flow syntax, you don't need to do. Like imagine here, right, what you're trying to do, you're trying to manipulate, right? You're trying to add something in the DOM, an unnecessary span, which is not required inside a button. But just to make it render, you are using it, or else you'll have to make use of ng container and all of those. But now with this new control flow syntax, it's become more easier to use such kind of thing. Okay, directly inside the template, and this really looks like a native JavaScript code, and any developer can understand it at one go, right? So that's how what I have written the logic. And if you take a look in the bottom also, we have this if else condition where whenever you are logged in, then show this, or else you have to show this. That's it. So this is what about your @if here. Now let's take a look at your for example. So here in the for example, we are doing something similar. Now we don't need to do star ngFor, and we have to create our own track by function and all of that. So this gets handled out of the box by using this @for. So here what I have a user signal which has these two particular user, and there is a add button, if you remember, on the UI, which is this. So whenever I click on this add, so it just goes ahead and add a new user inside this signal array, right? So let's take a look at here. So whenever you click on add, so it just takes your existing what we say, the signal, the users, and then it goes and update it with a new user. That's the code. Now we have an array, and to loop the array we have a @for. So let's go back again to the code and take a look. So here we are saying user of users, and then we are also having this track to improve the performance while we are looping in the template, and then this tracks your user ID to gain the performance, right? So that it helps you to not re-render everything. Only the change, whatever changes are happening, only that will get updated, not the complete block of your code. So over here now we have this for, and based on this for we are trying to create this as a template which gets created based on how many users you have. And now here we can get the single user, and that single user we can display the name and we can display the role, right? But what if your array is empty? Okay, so currently we have a data over here. If I refresh, so we have a by default 2 values here. Now for example, the value is empty. So let's go back here and let's try to make this as an empty array. So what will happen if there is empty? So to do it by the traditional way, we will first check ng, if, and all of those. So if the length is 0, then please render this. But now if you just take a look at the UI, if it is empty, we can directly show no user found. But how is this possible now? This is possible if you are using @for, then we also get something called as @empty. So it is smart enough that if the list is empty, so it will go ahead and render this particular block of code for you, and which is nothing but your new control flow syntax, which is your @for. So now that's what it is. Now let's try to take a look at the last example for today, and that is switch example. Now imagine, right, if you're using switch case, if any one of you have used switch case, so you remember how much hard it was to implement, because there is something called as star ng switch case, and then you have your other options which you want to display. It was actually, to be honest, even I'm still confused, like how do we even do that? But now you don't have to worry, because now Angular team has changed it to the native JS code, and here you can see we have @switch. Based on this particular value, it will go ahead and match the case. If my current theme is light, then go ahead and render this block. If it is dark, then render this block. If it is system, then render this block. Or else if nothing matches, then it will go and display this default template, which is unknown theme. And this is what I love about this new control flow syntax. It's very much easy to understand. Now anyone can have a question, Shashi, what if, is it also possible that we can make use of nested if else? The answer to that is yes. So what you can do, right? So suppose if you want to do this by using @if else, so you have this if condition first, and for example you displayed something, and again you can do something called as again @else if. Can you see we have a else if, and then again you can have your own nested structure here, something like that, and again you can make use of else. But again, let's not go to that, because we have something better, right, which is @switch, and that can be used here for such kind of scenario. And that's what the 3 control flow what I was talking about, the @if, @for, and @switch. And these are here to help us and make our code neat and clean as compared to what we had previously. Again, if you need the code for this particular whatever I'm teaching right now, so you can just mention me on my Telegram channel. So I will link that inside the description box. You can go ahead and connect with me, and I can share this code with you guys. So that's a wrap for the today. So I hope this introduction to the Angular new control flow syntax has helped you to see how they have simplified the template logic and improve the performance. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more Angular tips and tutorials. And if you got any question or feedback, so please drop them in the comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. So in the next video, we will deep dive into the another exciting feature. So make sure you hit the bell icon to get notified. Until then, happy coding and see you guys soon. Bye bye.